Imagine this scene. A city once full of life, now just rubble. And children, looking far too old, scraping out empty pots with their hands. This isn't history, it's Gaza City right now.
It's a truly awful picture, and now there's an official declaration that makes it even more urgent. We're going to dig deep into the UN's announcement, a formal declaration of famine conditions in Gaza.
Yeah, and it's more than just a statistic, isn't it? It's about people trying to survive, conflicting stories flying around, and a crisis that's really been building for years. So today, we want to unpack how things got this bad by August 2025. What does famine really mean for the 500,000 people trapped in it? And we need to look at the different views on why this happened and what, if anything, can be done. Trying to get behind the headlines.
Exactly. And the timing is key here. August 22nd, 2025. That's when the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, the IPC, they're basically the global standard for this sort of thing, very data-driven. They officially declared famine in the Gaza governorate.
So this isn't just someone's opinion. It's based on evidence from UN-backed experts.
Precisely. They're confirming catastrophic hunger for about 500,000 people. And this is happening after almost 2 years of intense conflict.
Okay, so let's just set the scene a bit more. Gaza, it's that small, really crowded strip of land by the sea, home to, 2.3 million Palestinians?
That's right. And crucially, it's been under blockade by Israel and Egypt since 2007, after Hamas took control.
And that blockade, it's not just about border checks, is it? It affects everything, goods, movement, the whole economy. It sort of crippled their ability to manage on their own, even before this latest war.
Absolutely. That context is vital. It created this underlying vulnerability. Then came the trigger for this current escalation, October 7th, 2023. Hamas attacks Israel, killing about 1,200 people, taking over 250 hostages.
And Israel's response was huge. A massive military campaign aimed at dismantling Hamas, they said.
And now, fast forward to August 2025. The human cost. It's just staggering. Gaza's health authorities report over 40,000 deaths, homes, hospitals, infrastructure, widespread destruction.
And in the middle of all that, the lack of food, the difficulty getting aid in, many see that as a direct result of the conflict and the restrictions.
Which brings us back to that word, famine.
Yeah.
What does the IPC actually mean by that? It's not just saying people are hungry.
Right. It sounds like a very specific technical term they use.
Yeah.
Based on hard data.
Extremely specific. The IPC is seen as this sort of independent referee using strict criteria, which is why this declaration is such a big deal. To declare a Phase 5 famine, 3 things have to be happening.
Hey, what are they?
First, at least 1 in 5 households, 20%, are facing extreme food shortages, like literally not enough to survive.
1 in 5. Wow.
Second, acute malnutrition, that, really severe visible wasting in over 30% of children.
30%.
And the third one is grim. The death rate from starvation or related diseases has to be more than 2 adults or 4 children per 10,000 people every single day.
That's chillingly precise, just horrifying numbers.
It leaves no room for doubt about the severity.
And this declaration, it specifically covers the Gaza governorate, Gaza City, and the areas around it.
That's right, affecting about 500,000 people right now.
Yeah.
That's a fifth of Gaza's entire population already in catastrophic hunger.
And you said there are projections it could spread?
Yes, and that's terrifying. The forecast is that famine could hit central areas, like Deir el-Balah and Khan Yunis, by the end of September. That could mean 2/3 of Gaza engulfed. It's moving fast.
Let's shift from the numbers for a second, though they're crucial. What does this actually look like for people on the ground?
Well, the human toll is immediate. Just the day after the declaration, August 23rd, health officials reported 8 more deaths from starvation. 2 were children. That brings the known total to dozens. But honestly, counting accurately in these conditions, it's incredibly difficult.
You hear these stories. Yousef Hamad, 58, forced from his home in Beit Hanun, now waiting in line for scraps. He said, "We have no home left, no food, no income, just nothing."
Complete despair.
And the descriptions. Women and kids pushing for rice, children scraping pots clean with their fingers, a little girl eating food off the ground from a plastic bag. It's not just hunger, it's dignity being stripped away.
It is. And further south, in Deir el-Balah, a mother, Umm Mohammad, described her kids being too weak from hunger and dehydration to even wake up properly. Her feeling was the UN announcement was far too late. You hear that sentiment a lot.
Which makes sense, because people have been warning about this since early 2024, right? Doctors seeing severe malnutrition for months.
Absolutely. They described patients with ribs sticking out, skeletal limbs. We heard about Somia Abu Najah's 12-year-old daughter, Her weight dropped to just 20 kilos, about 44 pounds.
Unimaginable. And tens of thousands of kids in these tent camps starving, often without clean water or any real medical care.
And the war itself has just wrecked Gaza's ability to feed itself. Farms, bakeries, water systems destroyed.
So even if they wanted to be self-sufficient,
Impossible. And then there's the aid. Even when trucks try to get in, they face bombings, looting, huge bureaucratic delays at the crossings, like Kerem Shalom and Rafah.
so the aid that is available often doesn't reach the people who need it most desperately.
Exactly. It's a systemic collapse, not just a shortage.
Which leads inevitably to the question of responsibility. Who is to blame, and why is it so hard to get aid through? The narratives here seem completely opposed.
Sharply opposed. You have Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu flatly denying the IPC report, calling it an outright lie, part of an anti-Semitic campaign.
What's Israel's counterargument then?
It's varied. They say they've let in over 10,000 aid trucks since May 2025, plus airdrops, food parcels. They claim aid levels sometimes exceeded pre-war amounts. Their main point is blaming Hamas, accusing them of stealing aid, hoarding it in tunnels, selling it for profit.
Right, I've heard those claims.
And Defense Minister Katz threatened more destruction if hostages aren't released and Hamas doesn't disarm. Just recently, on August 23rd, there were heavy bombardments in Gaza City's Seitan district, flattening buildings, trapping people. A local spokesman called it absolutely catastrophic.
But then you have the UN agencies and many others pointing the finger squarely back at Israel.
Yes, very strong condemnations. UNRWA's chief, Philippe Lazzarini, told Israel to stop denying the famine it has created. He called for global action, saying it's a moral duty.
And the UN Secretary General.
Antonio Guterres called it a man-made disaster, a failure of humanity itself. Strong words.
So a complete deadlock, essentially. One side says, we're letting aid in, Hamas is stealing it. The other says, you're creating the famine by restricting access.
That's the core of it. And you have the WHO, the World Food Program, saying the famine is irrefutably confirmed and will get worse without a massive immediate aid surge. This deep split over blame makes finding solutions incredibly hard. Humanitarian aid itself becomes politicized.
And we should also acknowledge there is some questioning of the reports themselves, some nuances.
There are. Some reports question if the UN maybe adjusted the famine thresholds for Gaza or relied on data potentially influenced by Hamas sources. That's out there.
And people point to occasional signs of normalcy, like a working restaurant.
Yeah, you might see a picture of someone selling falafel or ice cream. But analysts stress these are tiny islands in a huge sea of despair. They don't reflect the wider reality. There are also credible points about the chaos of aid distribution in a war zone. It's messy, and yes, there are allegations Hamas controls or diverts some of it.
So how do you navigate these conflicting claims? For you, listening, it must be confusing.
It is, but what's crucial here is the Famine Review Committee. They're independent monitors. They've confirmed the crisis using multiple data sources, satellite images, health surveys, not just one channel. That independent verification carries a lot of weight against the political noise.
Okay, stepping back again, the bigger picture here. This is the first ever declared famine in the Middle East.
That's correct. It puts it on par historically with very rare, usually conflict-driven famines like South Sudan in 2017 or Somalia back in 2011, places where politics and conflict were major drivers.
And beyond the hunger itself, there's the displacement, the disease.
Huge factors. The war and the blockade have displaced over 1.9 million people. That's 80% of the population crammed into camps.
Camps which are often unsanitary, I imagine.
Exactly. Sewage problems, disease outbreaks like polio are being reported, and malnutrition just destroys immune systems, especially in children. They become incredibly vulnerable to infections. Doctors are describing patients as just skin and bones, too weak to heal. It's a medical catastrophe alongside the hunger crisis. The long-term impact on a generation, it's hard to fathom.
How is the rest of the world reacting?
It's mixed. The U.S., Israel's main ally, has been relatively quiet on the famine declaration itself, though they keep pushing for more aid access. European leaders are condemning the situation, calling for ceasefires. Hamas demands open crossings.
And public opinion, social media.
A real split screen. You see outrage, images of settlers feasting near the border, juxtaposed with starving Gazans. Then you see staunch defenses of Israel, claims the famine declaration is just propaganda. It's deeply polarized.
What about the aid groups still trying to work there?
Groups like Rama Worldwide and UNRWA, despite its own challenges, are trying. But the scale is overwhelming. UNRWA, for example, hasn't delivered supplies directly since March 2025. Remember those allegations about staff involvement in the October 7th attacks? That led to funding freezes from major donors, crippling their operations for a while.
Right, another layer of complexity. Politics affecting the biggest aid agency on the ground.
It shows how tangled everything is. Politics, logistics, funding, security.
So is there any way forward? What do experts say needs to happen?
There's broad agreement on the basics. A ceasefire, a real durable one. Plus, genuinely unrestricted humanitarian access, not just promises but open routes. And then massive rebuilding efforts down the line.
But without those first steps, especially the ceasefire and aid access.
The death toll will keep rising. It could soar. We saw 71 people killed in strikes, just on August 22nd alone. This isn't just about food scarcity and isolation. It's about survival amidst relentless conflict.
You hear the voices from inside Gaza. Ahmad Jundier, 35, hearing constant bombing, feeling like the end is near, or Ayman Dalou pleading, let them see what's happening, we've been ruined.
Those personal pleas really cut through everything else, don't they? It's a raw appeal for basic humanity.
So we've walked through this incredibly tough reality, the famine in Gaza, how it started, the official declaration, the human cost, and these completely opposing narratives about who's responsible. It's clear this isn't just about food. It's a crisis of humanity, caught in a conflict that seems endless.
It really is.
And thinking about that Famine Review Committee confirming the crisis with independent data despite all the political denials, it highlights something interesting, doesn't it? The growing importance of objective, data-driven analysis in trying to cut through these intense political narratives. So the question maybe isn't just what's happening, but how can that kind of verified information, that data integrity, actually push towards action when the political will seems so fractured? What does this situation tell us about tackling future humanitarian crises in these complex, politically charged environments? Something to really think about.